I'm Michael Brook, and you might know some of my work from Michael Mann's Heat, Inconvenient Truth, Into the Wild. And I've done a bunch of music for LiquidCinema, and I hope you find a way to use it. Basically, to make music, I play it, not in the sense of playing an instrument, but I kind of experiment and play like a kid does, and try and until something catches my ear, and then I'll record it and possibly develop it if in the cold light of day it sounds good or promising. And so it's very like exploratory, slightly just mess around until something good happens. With music for picture, the big secret that I'm only going to tell you is that I don't really write to picture much. What I do is look at a picture and try and internalize that to some degree as a source of inspiration, and then just write whatever music comes into my head for quite a while, and then experiment placing that music against picture, and that's when the happy accidents happen for me. I've always been interested in sound and timbre, but I think what's happened, and I've never really planned it or even articulated it, but I think so that becomes electronic manipulation and treatment of instruments is part of my palette, but then I try and just think of it as an arranger, as a music arranger. So it's never thought of as it has to be electronic or something like that. It's more evaluated as, does this approach work in this arrangement? My goal is always to personally be having an emotional reaction to it, but I'm not sure that that is accessible to sort of conscious introspection. I don't know if anybody who does that can genuinely say how or why they do it. And it's a kind of intuitive, somewhat unconscious process, for me anyway. Maybe some people can really design and plan that sort of thing, but I'm not sure. I think they might think they can, but it's still the same process. For me, the process is always the same, but on some projects, albums or films, often towards the end, there's a kind of there's an editorial process that happens, and on Into the Wild that happened quite a bit, where usually the initial ideas, they all happen the same way, where I'm just sitting in the studio and messing around. And then for Into the Wild, there was a fair bit of interaction between Jay Cassidy, the picture editor, Sean Penn, the director, and myself, where I would work on something, they would come in and then say, well, what if it did this kind of thing here? And we would go through it, and they would suggest changes or say, can we do something different in this place? And I love that, because it always brings a sophistication and a kind of an alternative perspective that I would never come up with. And but not all projects have that, and I don't mean to say projects that don't have it aren't as good, but when it does happen, for me, it's particularly rewarding that there's that kind of interaction and collaborative aspect of it. The process for creating music for LiquidCinema was slightly different, because I didn't know where it was going to go, and so I wasn't really thinking about that. So it was an interesting feeling of writing music for scenes that you imagined, but your imaginary version of those scenes might evolve or change as the process went on.